Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our regularly scheduled meeting of County Council. We'll start off with our roll call. I'll call out your district and ask you to respond with your name. For District 1. Thank you very much. District 2.
John McDonald here.
District 3.
Wayne Fowler here.
District 4. District 5. District 6.
Alec Morrison.
District 7 is me, Timothy Abinsky. District 8.
Here.
District 9.
Wendy Sheridan here.
District 10.
Roberts here.
District 11. Thank you very much. Folks, you've got before you the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I have an addition before you approve it, so we possibly approve it as amended. Have been receiving the same request from many and sundry folks to have a time-sensitive item added to the agenda. I would like to add under the solicitor's report so that it can be discussed while the solicitor is here. An email from Marcia Sanford dated January 19th, 2020 regarding Clementsville Falls property on the tax sale list. I will circulate it.
Question.
I make that motion.
Yes.
I see additions now are at the bottom. It says late additions.
The late additions we're bringing in are, again, the options for additions. Sometimes staff have things that come into staff, as Carolyn just brought forward. And we can bring additions forward as well that are late additions if they are time sensitive, so there's no other way to get them through to a decision point, or if it involve public safety in some fashion. We're trying to restrict it to those things.
No, I understand that.
There's no motion on that.
No, there's no motion.
This was just something that we presumed that we had agreed on.
We had a discussion about it. It was a request to try to control the number of additions that were coming in, and particularly the additions that were coming in that could come in a timely fashion to a later meeting. But because really council should have an opportunity for anything that isn't time sensitive or doesn't involve public safety. Councillors should have an opportunity to review it before they discuss it at council meetings. It's just a fairness process.
Yeah. Thank you.
This item would normally have been added under late additions, except that staff asked that it be discussed while the solicitor is here.
Thank you.
But I guess what I'm saying, Tony, is we've got stuff that we'd like to have on there, right? I got one thing for sure right now.
Is it something that is either time sensitive or related to public safety?
Well, it's time sensitive in the case of that I've asked a question a couple of times.
Okay.
And this goes back to probably sometime in the spring. So for me, it's...
So the process, Councillor, would be if you bring it forward either to the clerk or bring it forward to the CAO and ask to have it added to the agenda, it'll be on the agenda. So that's the process for all councillors.
We're not allowed to make any additions. Is that correct?
Well, no, you can make additions. We've requested that the process of adding something to the agenda, if you have forewarning, and certainly since this has been something you've been thinking about since the spring, you have ample opportunity to have it added to an agenda. So I'm just suggesting the correct process would be to add it to the agenda, generally speaking, with some sort of thing written to suggest what the item is about, so that when councillors arrive to discuss, they're not blindsided. They know what it is that's proposed for discussion. But so that was a request that was made to council, that to try to restrict additions is partly to ensure that councillors have an opportunity to preview things before they're discussed, which is fair, because people can be sandbagged, right? And we're trying to avoid that. And partly because the number of additions was getting really, really extreme, and I think people were using the additions just because it was more convenient and easier than actually formally adding them to the agenda. So we want to try to have as much as possible captured in the agenda and in the formal minutes as we can. And that means trying to restrict late additions to things that truly should be emergencies.
Well, I know this agenda came before, I believe the CAO got it. I know that Steve got it. And to my knowledge, the homeowner has never heard back. So I've asked the question a couple of times. Okay. And basically the problem is ours, not theirs.
Fair enough. I'm not certain what the item is.
It's Hillside Drive.
Okay. All right. Hillside Drive. Well,
number 11.
Should we? Hillside Drive number 11. Is it, like, I'll just ask, is it urgent? Is something going to happen in the intervening couple of weeks before the committee of the whole meeting in February?
Well, not necessarily, but it's costing the homeowner a lot of money.
Okay, well, I would call that an urgent thing. If they've got an ongoing expense that's just compounding a problem, then I would say, sure, we should add that to the agenda as a late addition.
Okay.
So that's Hillside Drive?
11 Hillside Drive.
11 Hillside Drive, we'll put that under late additions.
I have a printout here. Somebody wants a copy it, so everybody got a copy of it.
That would be great.
I can copy it at lunchtime and circulate it.
That tax sale edition, is that accepted for today, be on the agenda?
Yes, that was the one that the staff uploaded. We haven't actually voted to approve the agenda yet, so, Councillor Gunn.
Just so I have it straight in my mind. Anything that I want put on the agenda, if I want it added, I can have put on the agenda as long as I give you weeks' notice and my background information to it.
Yes.
That's right. That's the way it's going to be. It'll roll right down the line.
Ultimately, the agenda has to be approved by council. It's a decision of
Yeah,
council.
yeah.
But yes, if
So
you'd like
if I have a subject I want to bring up
Yeah.
on the agenda,
Yeah.
then as long as I give you forewarning for it a week in advance, I'll have it on the agenda.
Yeah, submit an item to Carolyn.
The Monday before.
The Monday before,
Yeah.
and that's always been our process. Officially. Yeah.
Then we'll make that happen.
All right, terrific. Okay, anything further, folks? All in favor, could we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Moved by Councillor McNeil, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. You also have before you minutes from two sessions, a regular session from the 12th, from December the 17th in 2019, and our special session the 14th of January 2020. Could we have a motion to approve the first of those sets of minutes? Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Gunn. Any errors or omissions that you noted in that set of minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. We also have the second set of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those? Moved by Councillor Sheridan and seconded by Councillor Hemming. Any errors or omissions that you noted in those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Sorry.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
There is another special session of council, but those minutes didn't get on this agenda. It was the first one for the swearing in. It was a busy day, so those will be on the February council agenda.
We don't have any business arising for the minutes, but we do have a couple of items scheduled for in-camera discussion under the MGA Section 22(2)E contract negotiations and F legal advice. Could I have a motion, request a motion to go in camera under those sections? Moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Hemming. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much. Welcome back, everyone, to the open portion of our regularly scheduled council meeting. We're happy today to have Mr. Michelle Palmer joining us today for a presentation. I'd like to invite him to come forward. So we provide 10 minutes for presentations. I'll give you a 2-minute warning when we get close to the end, just so that you know. But we're very eager to hear what you have to say.
Is there a place where I can put
There's an
easel or something like that?
easel over on this side. I'm not sure how accessible it is. Let me see.
On its way. Cool.
I don't know how this.
I don't think that one gets any taller, Gordon.
That's as tall as it gets.
Yeah, it might have to stay on
Oh.
the
You
table
might have
to be.
I can put it over on that table on the other side. Would that?
Well, I won't be needing a computer. Can I just put it here? Then it should. Instead of needing it.
Will that balance?
You just close that. And it comes with Tic Tacs. Cool. That's multicultural. That's needed.
I don't know that. I think that might be too wide to go on.
Oh.
Stand it on a couple of chairs there, or you can bring a couple of those chairs up.
Yeah, I need to point at it. Maybe I'll put it on the chair right here.
Michelle, use my desk. I'll just go the other side of the room.
Just put it right there.
You're down there.
There.
Hopefully nobody falls.
Yeah, no, it's on wheels, so it's gonna keep moving.
Well, so, my name is Michelle Palmer, and I am a bilingual person. I took a course called Creative Communication when I was 21 years old at Dawson College, and it made me realize that school was not going to give me the humanity that I needed to have. So I went into communication, creative communications, how to study reports, how to look how language is being used to create attitudes. So what I'm bringing you right now is how to go from a 2D world to the 3D world, where we're going to allow somebody else's vision outside of here to be part of the creation that we're doing, because they're part of here. So how do we go from this place of choosing to the time, debt, box, agenda to get somewhere, the bigger plan? So what I'm offering is this county to be able to take your council and go to the outer edge of the county and become the viewers of the whole county instead of where you are now. And the concept is how to change linear words into three-dimensional words of meaning, of power, of separation, of connectedness, and of division. So we all have the mathematical signs. We start here, and we're wondering where do we go. We think, oh, it's like that. No. Quantum physics tells us it's a big spiral going outwards. The more we learn, the more we find out. We know very little of what we know, but we're trying to do the best. But we do our best decisions, and then we grind up the fish at the local power plant, right? It was a great decision, but we knew there was a problem, and at the same time, the other decision was made. We won't. So often our decisions are made time deadline, priority to get at, a box that we're in that we're not allowed to get out of, being put by a bigger box that's not allowed to get out of its own box. And the processes are made that super people like you come to try to make the decisions from the grid you were given, and as soon as you're more than 8 committees, you're all sparsed out and you can't do it anymore. So we are at the limitation of our own brain trying to keep up to a world that now is working at logarithms, knowing when you're going to pee at what time and in which bathroom. So we are facing that we're being told the truth. And most of us here, in your own decision making, it's not the truth of your citizens that you're going to have to take, but the truth of the box that you've been put in. And those decisions are 100 years of very dominant form of making decisions, which was not inclusive. So we won't even go into what our prejudice or bias, but this is how this is the coding of the language. So you will not understand until you see the whole. And if, like, trying to learn a new language, you need 10,000 hours, just like building an instrument or learning to play one. So the relationships, triads, right now in the world, triads is the monopolies controlling stuff. How do you make triads? Well, money, church, government. Whoa, there's a good triad. So we can have beautiful triads. So how do we resolve our health problem, our farming problem? Education. We teach our kids about organic, body awareness. We get them off the treadmill of symptom-based I'm going to let somebody else take care of my immune system belief and change the belief of 100 years that was actually they eliminated every man, they eliminated every black person, every non-Christian, and they made that truth up. So who was there to make the truth? 7 people. Anyway, how do we go forward with this language? So these are a universe is a circle. That's called a universe in this language. Spirals are the 2 directions that affect the county. So you have positive, we are working on it, and you got the sabotage work that the province is doing against what you're trying to do, counter spinning. That's quantum physics. When we decide to make a choice between 2 decisions, we're creating a new universe. We can hold on to the old ones and take all the standards and the beliefs and the rules and the laws and should fit in there. But they don't, because they're 2-dimensional thinking about to get something of the plan. And the plan's not fixable. So we have to create the circle. And the circle, the universe's circle, is inclusive. And you can show what is the relationship between 2 circles. So here's one. They just meet at the edge. Not much comment. Well, let's get associated a little bit more. So here, by putting circles in or out of each other, you start seeing right away the relationship. And that relationship can change as the communications increase. So your next view of your world tomorrow is totally different than what we would create today. I have created your world, actually, just to show you what it looks like. So once we understand the relationships of circle, you can create triads. So me, you, we create a triad because we're going to do a we together. So that list on the we is what our triad become. And let's say us as 2 people, we go and approach somebody else. We include them in our triad. Then we can put a circle around the 3 relationship and say, what is our world? And we can have part of us outside the circle we do, which would be the real relationship. So you can start by using, where am I now? The county is here. Where does it want to be over there? And so you can have inside all that every vision that your county wants to do, not just for your 4 years, but what are you trying to leave us in 7 generations? So you can color code it with anything you want, being whatever you want. You, gay, whatever you want to put as a value can be aligned wherever you're inclusive to those people. So we can start these areas. The flower of life, if you go back to basic Kabbalah, this is where new beginnings are. And the real dark area is the area we have in common that we agree on. And there's a lot of it. We want peace. We want love. We want enough for everybody. It's simple. But we're broken down in boxes of power. So, other relationship. Here is a triad meeting together and create 4 eyes meeting together, creating a new world. Here's 2 creating a 3rd world. So there's a different way of using this tool for any reason. So you yourself can sit there and start in the middle. Who I am, who loves me around my house, my county, who loves me in the world. You would see you're so rich and you're doing so many worlds. If you gave a value to everything that you want to do as a universe, then that universe, when you look at it, you can say, oh yeah, I need a pair of socks for the next time I'm going skiing. So right there, you don't have to have a list that's in the drawer that's over there. You look at your universe and you start seeing all that's in it. And you wake up the next morning and you, 2 minutes left, oh by golly. So, ways of using that. So, where are we now? And then you start figuring how you want to expand, and this just goes bigger and bigger. So that's a tool to create. Here's a three meeting together, creating a 4th universe, way of mapping it. Here's, for example, how right now the five different cultural groups I put it in. So the Mi'kmaq, the Acadians, French, the English, and the multicultural, and the youth. Why are we not including the 16 and up in our decision making? So by putting their universe in our universe and finding ways to relate, and what you can do is you use the hot, red, really we need to resolve this, to an orange group that investigates and is trusted to go find the truth for you, not to go find the best political correct solution, but the best solution for our area. So how to include, so here's my world I created the other day, just trying to see all my things. This is my partner and I, our little world, just us living on a piece of land called the Oasis and all the relationships we have. So I can teach people how to map this very easily. Within a half hour you could do your own thing. So here's an I approach, your iridology approach. So your county right now is right there and can be separated into committees, and those committees can be connected together. They can create triads. They can interrelate. If you always use yourself as the only hub, you're blocking the rest of the communication. So how does your county, let's say this is you in the county right there, this would be what the county would look like if that was you, with all the different, this is a more of a green on, from my point of view, what we need to do. But so looking for our own media, how we can connect between you and the citizen, having a radio station, having a newsletter, everybody that's not on internet is not connected with you guys. And I had a friend that was supposed to be here today. He doesn't have internet, so he never hears anything about what's happening. So First Nation, all the cultures. This is my example of what the Climate Change Committee looks like. It's actually 8 committees that need to come together between sustainable economy, agriculture, forestry, water. We come together and we create the reality. Carbon safe, agriculture, forestry. We pay farmers to do green manure implementation. We pay their seed, we pay their time, we pay them to put organic matter into the soil. We're going to become the richest organic place in the world by using, anybody who wants to have a carbon credit, they buy seeds from the farmer, for the farmer to plant the crop, plow it in, and many other things. So there's 30 crops. Yeah. So anyway, I did one for, and this is what you guys look like. I did that one last night, just thinking about who you are and what you can become. The inside circle is how you're operating right now. The outside circle, using all the resources of the county people, could be connected. Only the citizens can give you guys more power. Against the province, we are the strongest thing that you can ally with, not the legal aid.
I'm going to hold you right there and I'll throw it open for questions and comments from council, and perhaps that will open things up for us a little bit. Councillor Hemming.
Michelle, thank you for your presentation. I had a little trouble following you in places, but I'll tell you where I thought you were headed. And it is in a sense a new way of thinking, but there's quite a history. It's what we call now futures literacy, foresight thinking, and a lot of that we have to credit a professor at Dalhousie University who really thought that physics is important, but biology may be more important, and spent his life trying to do that, and then kind of filtered through. And that's a pretty accepted way of thinking anymore at certain levels. And really, since I would say 2008, a lot of people have been really interested in that, including the Rockefeller Foundation, who's putting a lot of money in educational initiatives to do this sort of thing. And UNESCO is using that sort of thinking now. And the last thing that was done, a big workshop on that, was in Korea last year. 140 people spent 5 days going through this. So it's a bit complex. But my point that I would like to make, I've thought about that for a long time. And now I'm coming up against it again, and I keep thinking, well, there's a reluctance for me to understand that, and I try and figure out why is that.
It's your Christian bias, sir. It's our English form of language is based on the Vineyard form.
If I could finish my thought.
Sure.
The conclusion that I reached is the reason I have trouble doing that is because it's so natural to me. I do that anyway.
Exactly.
And what I've discovered further is this council does all that.
Exactly.
Within the parameters of a municipality and Robert's Rules of Order and the way we conduct town hall meetings. We do that to a degree all the time. And so that can visualize some of the things that we do in those sort of diagrams. But what I'm comfortable in is, in my opinion, that this council does that sort of thing. We do that outreach. We do that communications piece. But best we can with what we have. Do we do the best? Maybe not, maybe so. But my point is, I think we do a lot of that anyway. You just brought it to a more visual form, and I appreciate you doing that.
Okay, I want to come back. This is just one tool I'm showing you. The tool that really works with this is sociocracy. So right now the tool you're using is right in here. The tool of sociocracy will make it that your boards, your committees will not have to be directed by council. Your boards and committees will be powered by the citizens getting involved in controlling those boards. The governments and the citizens will share power, and the decision making will not be blamed on the councillors because the citizens will be involved. So the guilt thing can be dropped. The time debt thing can be dropped. This form of hot and cold. So how did this come? Why am I doing it here?
Michelle,
I need to bring you why. I came from your meeting last time. I met Ed Simmons. And this is how DE's garden. I met with Ed, and we can put this on computer now. And we could take everything you've got as data, and we could make you a visual universe of everything you've got on your file. Everything. Every person in this county could be in this universe. So, no, you're not doing this great. This is going to be the future community. How are we going to relate with our computers? Because when humans can start seeing your world like this, instead of an agenda of we cannot be in the 2D anymore. The 2D judgmental world has to go to inclusive overview. I need to know your perception before. So I did give you 10 minutes presentation, and you gave me an evaluation of what you think I presented. So it's only on 5 minutes of really listening to me. So because mostly during that time, you were probably making up why it does not fit for you. So in our world of way we communicate, we're positioning ourselves unbiased to take a side. And we need to create a circle. You're not a circle here. You are a square with the citizens sitting there. They're not even surrounding you. So if you want to create a real room, make a circle, invite people in the circle. Then we would be equal. I'm not an equal here. You're telling me to leave after 10 minutes. I voted for this guy. And I get 10 minutes to talk to you. So it's really, this form of connecting with the citizenship is partly why I needed to do this.
Michelle, thank you for the presentation. It's for me, the place that I see the greatest parallels aren't in sociology or governance, but in poetry. So this is the same sort of, what you're talking about is epistemology. It's about how we understand things and how we put a landscape together of all of our relationships and all the things that we're interested in and focused on. And there is a level at which the municipality does do that. because we'll talk about the horizon of municipal operation, and that's a phrase that we've used a number of times. And so when we designed our vision statement and our mission statement, and we said that the ultimate horizon of municipal operations needs to be compassion, I think in a very basic way, that's a component of what you're talking about. But I see a lot of parallels what you're doing with poetry from like Hilda Doolittle and Ezra Pound and Charles Olson. But the trick for me is always to take that conceptual map, because as a concept and even as a visual piece, you can immediately see the appeal of that. The trick is to take a conceptual thing and actually apply it to concrete human interactions.
So every color has a value in this. Every color is not put there for what it is, but a value of something. The orange is the English. The blue is the Acadian. The red. So we have a picture of what was and what is becoming. So this is now. How do we change the now back to what it is?
You've given us a lot to think about. And I think there'd be a lot to think about it in order to understand how the concept is something that could be applied in a useful way here. But I think we're going to mull this. So thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have any further questions for Michelle? Well, thank you very much for your time, Michelle. We appreciate you being here today.
I'm connecting with Ed Simmons on this, and we're going to create the language.
Okay, so we only have the one presentation for today. Our solicitor is here, and so for that reason, perhaps we should go back in camera now. I'm sorry. Sir, I was going to suggest we might want to adjourn for lunch a little early today, because I believe that Mr. Horsnell is going to be available for us to talk to on the phone about the local procurement policy between 1 and 1:30. So if we could be back here for 1, that would be ideal. That would give us a bit of a window of time to speak with him. But what I'd suggest is breaking at 10 to 12. Do you need a break right now, or would 10 to 12 be all right? Is that close enough? I feel like asking my kids as we're leaving. You might ask, do you need to use the washroom now? Come on. Okay, let's. I'm going to ask in that case for a motion to go in camera under the MGA section 22(2)E, contract negotiations, and F, legal advice. Moved by Councillor Hemming, second by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. So everybody, I'd like to welcome you back to the open portion of our council meeting. Deputy Warden, I think we have a change to the order of the day.
Okay, I'd like to add Highway 8 capital project. And local procurement spending analysis, I would like to move that to current.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, Councillor Hemming. So our next item in that case is local procurement spending analysis.
Yes, I'd like to declare an interest in that. I'm president of the association that's going to raise this.
Thank you, Councillor Hemming. We'll see you when we return from lunch. Thank you.
And there's public in the
Yes. Okay. Sure. Thank you.
There's nobody out there.
There's no one out there?
Did I get everyone's paper back?
Do you want the slide one?
Hi, Bob. We just reopened from in camera. We're just waiting for the public to come back into the room, and we'll get ready to start in a minute or so. Okay.
Who is on the line, John? Sorry?
Bob Savelli.
I already passed my name.
Already gone.
We'll just give it a moment for missing councillors to return.
No. Oh.
folks. We're all in. Let's begin. So this was a matter that was deferred from the previous agenda, so the council could have an opportunity to reacquaint themselves with the information in the presentation. We have on the line Bob Cervelli to answer any further questions that council might have. So this was a request for us to participate in a study that was being conducted between the Centre for Local Prosperity and Dalhousie University on local procurement. And I believe the question had been posed by some councillors that if the municipality engages in this, what benefit do we anticipate seeing for the municipality as a result of that participation? So do councillors have any specific questions about the presentation or in general that could be posed to Mr. Cervelli? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I'm looking at a slide that has 4 horizontal boxes. And the top left says local procurement spending analysis.
Page 39.
Yes, but he doesn't have.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the lower right box gives us the impact of a 10% shift in Nova Scotia. And it indicates 15,000 jobs. I take that to mean that if we shift 10%, we will create an additional 15,000 jobs in Nova Scotia. Those 15,000 jobs are already in existence somewhere. So what we are doing is advocating taking 15,000 jobs from somebody else's economy. Now, and our rate of leakage is 35%. The rate of leakage in New Brunswick is 45%. So how many jobs does New Brunswick want to take from Nova Scotia in order to stop its leakage, while at the same time we're taking 16,000 jobs from somebody else? How does that work? Does it go around in a circle and we end up the same?
Bob, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I would like to speak with that. Thank you. It's an excellent question. When you do the analysis, which we've started to do for some of the other municipalities, Miramichi, for example, we've just sent them a final report. It turns out that a significant amount of the leakage goes to Ontario, to Quebec, other parts of Canada, and into the U.S. So effectively, if we're taking jobs, you could say, it's from those larger economies. Very little of it would be competing, if you will, within the region. So actually look at where the money goes.
So in effect, we're saying to X number of people in Ontario, we're going to take your job from you.
You could think of it that way. But the magnitude of their economy versus what we're working with here is significantly different. And to be honest with you, I don't think they would notice.
Well, I beg to differ, and I won't keep going on this, but I can tell you that Jack and Jane Smith in Belleville, Ontario will notice if they're fired. Thank you.
I think the point that Councillor Morrison raises is a really interesting point. It has a component of theology to it, of course. The way I would tend to look at it would be look at it from the position of a small business person or someone who runs a household, and saying, well, we know what we spend, we know what we consume, and we know how we generate revenue. If we were to produce some more of the things that we consume, we could adjust the ratio of our income to our expenditures. And as somebody who runs a business, who's done his own websites, done his own print media, done his own recording, and all those various things, from the position of a small business or a household, it makes eminent sense. And I think that in a lot of ways, what we do as municipal government is closely analogous to what a household does. Our intention, of course, is never just to take from somebody else, but rather to render our own operations more intrinsically sustainable and balanced in terms of our income and our expenditures. And I think that's a worthy goal. There are always implications. We don't exist in isolation. There are always implications elsewhere for the financial decisions that are made here. But fundamentally, we are responsible for the financial decisions that are made here, and are not responsible for financial decisions that are made in New York State. And that's where I would have a measure of peace with this kind of approach. Well, more than a measure of peace, I actually think it's essential that we engage in this kind of a process.
Yes, Warden, thank you. I could say a bit more about that. A program for local procurement is intended to build that local economy, the local resilience, the ability for the local economy to provide for itself and to support the local businesses. So it would be analogous from a consumer's point of view, let's say, of going down the block to the local bookstore, the local hardware store, doing your purchasing there versus doing it online with Amazon. So it's where the money goes and which economy is being supported. So this is an opportunity then for the county to look at where does its spending procurement budget go. It establishes a baseline so that you can see how much of it stays in the county, how much of it stays within Nova Scotia, how much of it is within Atlantic Canada, international, and so on. And then you can look at line by line with different vendors of where might there be opportunity to relocalize some of that spending for the benefit of the local economy in the county there. And it provides the lens to be able to see where could there be business expansion, where could there be new business startups, potentially with contracts that could be provided to them.
Okay.
And I think importantly as well, it sends a signal out into the community that there's a commitment on behalf of the county to really look at relocalizing the appropriate portions of spending that it can, and for the purpose of creating jobs, increasing tax revenue, and so on.
Thank you. Deputy Warden?
And I know that we've had discussions before, and I feel that to do this study, they're going to contact our staff to get the procurement part of it. Right?
They'll need to get some data from the county.
Right. So if our staff already has that and they have to take the time to provide it to a study, then I guess I don't understand why they couldn't take the time to provide it to us. And my own personal thought is this county is made up of small businesses. And I believe that us as a whole, as a municipality, should be making our own database of our own businesses, small businesses in our area that we can use. Because that has not happened. I've had emails. And I think that we should clamp down on ourselves to make sure that we are using our small businesses, which feeds our economy, which does create more jobs. And if we're not doing that ourselves, then I don't believe a study is going to make a difference. I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
It's interesting because it's clear that your end objective is exactly what the study's end objective is. That is to relocalize purchasing and to try again to do that internal balancing of an economy. And I think we all agree. I think that what's at stake, and your question makes it fairly explicit. You said we have the information at the staff level that could just be provided to us. What's the difference of providing it to us versus providing it to the Center for Local Prosperity in Dalhousie University? And I think the distinction from my perspective is that I'm not an expert in economics. The question is there value in that expertise? Is there value in that expert gaze going through it and coming through it and trying to put together a strategy that will make optimal sense of how we can benefit our local businesses and develop in a way that's going to maximize the benefit to the community? I candidly think that people who work in that field, who work in economics, clearly the Center for Local Prosperity at this point has very extensive experience here. Dalhousie University, obviously, they have great expertise. Do I think they could do a better job of analyzing our data, making recommendations to us than we as a council could do back to ourselves? Yes, I do. And I think that the dollar sign attached to this study is not a particularly large one. I have no difficulty believing that the expertise leveraged by that study would justify that cost and make us more efficient in reaching a goal that I think we're all united in wanting to reach. But that would be my personal position. Councilor LeBlanc.
I could add there as well that the majority of the cost for this study is being borne by ACOA. They're quite supportive of the project overall. It is a region-wide project across Atlantic Canada, and we've recruited a number of institutions. In Nova Scotia, we've actually just sent the final report to the Nova Scotia Community College system. We're just putting together a final report for the city of Miramichi. We've got Mount Pearl and Newfoundland signed up, and Holland College as well at this point. So they're all quite keen to really learn this information. We're using an analytical spreadsheet tool that we've licensed in from a nonprofit group in England that's done this now for quite a number of organizations there. And they've been largely responsible for what is being held as quite an outstanding success and economic turnaround for the town of Preston in England, where they've got 6 local institutions to begin a local procurement program. This goes back about 5 years ago. The end result was the economy was so dramatically improved that PricewaterhouseCoopers gave them the annual award for the most improved town in England. So it's a very potent tool to be able to do local procurement from an economic standpoint. And so we've been being schooled by this nonprofit in England on how to best do the analysis and to be able to bring that back to the institutions.
Okay.
Councilor LeBlanc.
So I was in the same motion of if we have started the work in the county already, then why are we going to give up the work and not complete it? But from what I can see at the standpoint at this moment, I think the ask was about $2,000. $1,500. So when we're looking at that amount, what I'm thinking, if I look at the time and effort and manpower that's needed from our workers already that are being stretched to the limit, and we get an outcome, and is it kind of like projecting in the next 5 years or something? Is there something to that?
I think the question, Bob, is what sort of recommendations? What would the recommendations that could come from this study look like? What could they look like? How specifically would it dither down in terms of what's being purchased, or how much of it would sort of be adjusted for policy?
Well, what we would require is your top 300 vendors based on dollar value spend in the last fiscal year, complete fiscal year. We take that data in, we will then analyze it by locality. So we'll be looking at the postal codes, putting it through a number of analytical spreadsheets on the amount, where it goes. We then send a survey to these vendors so that we can look at the kind of the social and economic benefit that they provide. How many local jobs do they have? Have they been hiring? Are they a small, medium, or large business? Are they a local branch office, et cetera, et cetera? So we get quite a bit of complexity of data of the existing baseline of where does the money go, which I think could be right there quite valuable because it provides a framework for going forward. You get what you measure. So this gives you the ability to start to measure literally dollar by dollar. Then you can begin to look at individual spends and turn back into the county or into the province of what is the existing supplier capacity for that spend. And have you looked at those suppliers? Are they interested? Do they have the capacity? Do they have the willingness? In some cases, there's been suppliers that have cooperated to quickly build capacity. In some cases, they may need a capital upgrade to take on a contract. So we've got some cases now where there's some vendors that if they know that they're going to be able to get a contractor willing to make those upgrades for some of the other institutions. So it begins to really kind of tease apart how you can begin to move money into the local economy.
Bob, John McDonald. Local farmers, they don't seem to fit in any of your categories, and yet we all eat several times a day, or we'd like to. I am hungry. So local farmers, how could we involve them in this? I've done an experiment, maybe I mentioned it to you a year or so ago, where in an email thing I said there's a farmer at the bottom end of this road that has trouble selling his peaches because he doesn't have access to the internet. Within 48 hours he sold out of all his product. People came from all over. Like, it really, really helps, which allowed him to spend money on truck repairs or whatever he chose to do. How can we involve local food?
Well, that's a good question. And, it depends on each institution. So the municipality, I would guess that your food budget is not very large. Maybe catering and some other things. But you're not feeding people on a regular basis. That would be different than, let's say, with the Nova Scotia Community College system where they're running cafeterias, or a university, something like that. So they can do quite a bit more with their spending power to support local farmers. And in fact, that's something that's starting to happen. Acadia University and a number of other ones are really stepping up in quite a strong way there, going out and securing long-term production contracts from farmers. Cape Breton is really starting to push hard in that direction. So the county itself, it can send a message to other institutions. It can begin to look at what production is available. But, I've got a bit of an agricultural background myself, John, and I know that if I'm going to scale, take the production of carrots, I'm going to want to know that I've got a contract next year, and what's the price, and so on. And that's where the institutions can come in and they say, well, we'll buy so many 100 pounds and at this price, and when can you deliver, and so on. And now I'm able to scale my production. So it's kind of a back and forth situation that way. But where we're starting from is getting those commitments and getting that culture shift of the importance of spending locally by the institution, sending that message out into the business community.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions for Mr. Scott? Bob, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Cool.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, at this point, so this is before us now for a decision. So the dollar amount was $1,500.
$1,500, and they mentioned 4 hours.
$1,500 and 4 hours of in kind. I would entertain a motion if someone would like to make the motion.
I'd make that motion.
Moved by Councillor McDonald to proceed with the Centre for Local Prosperity and Dalhousie University on local procurement spending analysis for Annapolis County. Seconder for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Proud. Discussion of motion. All in favor? Councillor McDonald.
I would hope that if this goes through, that maybe someday we can enlarge this, incorporate our local farmers, our food suppliers. I think it would make a big difference. Anyway, thanks.
It's sort of like the PCP process for FCM, the Partners for Climate Protection, where the first level the municipality does is they examine their own internal operations, and the next level is then you examine the entire municipality and all the core industries that are in it together, and you get baselines for both.
Yes.
So I agree. I think this is great. It'll help us address our own internal operations and get a handle on exactly what we do. But the next step then would be to do it for the entire
We can grow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So can the motion include that, the cost of $1,500?
Is that's all right?
Yes, 15.
Okay. Coming from that would just be economic development. From economic development. Okay. Further, Councillor Proud?
Further to Councillor McDonald's comments, I can remember, it's long gone now, but former MLA Aurora Rafews, who beat a similar drum for a number of years, on farm gate sales, and trying to do what could be done for the farmers in Annapolis County, trying to get institutions, provincial institutions, to pick up on that and to run with it and to purchase vocational schools, hospitals, any institution that was purchasing a fair amount of food. And it sounds like this could tie into it well or further those ideas. We have a lot of farmers, and everybody's district, mine. You're thinking of Spurs, Gouchers, and the dairy farmers and different folks. It's something we need to look at, I think, and investigate as well as we can.
Terrific. Thank you very much, folks. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. So it's not the $1,500, but I do and I'm just not happy with the answers he was giving me as what we would actually get out of it. It's $1,500. It's not a lot of money. But what would we actually get out of it in the end? An analysis that what we would base our budgets on now and purchasing locally? I buy locally as much as I can. My God, when anybody comes around, I boast about our local produce and we have it around there. You can't get better produce than in the valley. I think that's what most people do anyway. I don't see the value in this. I'm sorry. I just don't see the value. I'm happy to go along with it. Just, if it's going to make somebody happy and give somebody $1,500, that'll give us some sort of information that, I'm still not sure what we're going to found. That information is going to find us anything. Don't see it.
Thank you. Councillor Sheridan.
So am I not understanding this correctly, but what I understood, that he wanted to examine how we spend the money as a municipality?
Yes.
And if we're putting out contracts, who we're hiring and why, and try to keep it more local, looking at postal codes and whatnot.
That's right.
I think it's a valid study.
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. All right. At this point, I would suggest that we recess for lunch. Let's try to return here for 2 o'clock, folks. Thank you very much.
I'd like to bring the session back to order. I will entertain a motion to accept the solicitor's report.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Sheridan.
And that's to which solicitor-client privilege applies.
Right. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. The Marcia
Sanford correspondence.
Marcia Sanford correspondence. I would entertain a motion to refer to the solicitor. Moved by Councillor Hemming, seconded by Councillor McNeil. Any discussion?
Excuse me, I wasn't sure what you said.
I said the Marcia Sanford correspondence.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Refer to the solicitor. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. And we'll move on to councillors' comments. Councillor Fowler.
Yeah, well, I hope everybody has a great 2020, and I have nothing new to report.
Councillor McDonald?
Councillor McDonald, very good, thank you. I'm opening it up because I sent it to Carol. At my home in Fort George, I hosted Christmas this year for my extended family, very traditional, lots of fun. I'm anxiously awaiting for this cold weather to break, as pretty as the bay steamers are from Fort George. I've taken a picture and I'm ready to move on. And I'm anxiously awaiting for the day when our fiber project runs along the shore for our residents to enjoy. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Councillor Lubna.
Well, I'd like to hope that everybody is starting a brand new year with positive attitudes and happiness and happiness in their lives. The only concern that I have is we have to be careful on those roads so that we can be safe, because all of a sudden we have snow. out of the blue. So it has taken some of us a little bit behind the scene instead of being in front of and being prepared. So hopefully everybody's prepared for what's coming up and supposedly on this weekend as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. And so this is 2020. We begin the year with the hope that our strategic vision and concrete decisions will continue to be 2020 themselves and in the best interests of our citizens. Perhaps at times matters may seem a bit blurry, and often they are. I think we have to blink, clean our eyes, and move ahead with determination, care, and compassion. On a personal family note, my niece, Ashley Morrison, daughter of Susan and Paul, arrived home to Cape Breton from the Middle East. She has been stationed in various countries for a number of years, and her main responsibilities were devoted to helping refugees and displaced persons as they struggle to establish or restore an even keel for their future lives. Elizabeth and I had lunch with the three of them the Sunday of the big storm in Cape Breton on the 5th of January. She's now deployed to a European country to assist new arrivals. And we believe she is indicative of the type of young Canadian who acts with care and compassion for the good of our world, and we're very proud of her. Weekly Wednesday morning community coffee breaks to the Clementsport Legion have resumed. Cornwallis Park community breakfasts continue to be held the second Saturday of each month. The Clements Historical Society meets the first Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. in the Clementsport Legion. Deep Brook Lions Club activities continue at a brisk pace, and benefits for folks in various kinds of need are well attended and supported. The Deep Brook Hall Flea Market is open on Saturdays. The Basin View Center coffee, cards, and chat folks gather and exchange news and stories of all kinds. Members of the Cornwallis Community Gardens Association are poring over their seed catalogs and writing orders for standard and exotic seeds. Elizabeth McMichael has returned as general manager after a 2-year sabbatical and will be working hard with the devoted management and maintenance team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. I won't be making any warm and fuzzies or a report until after next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Warden.
I just hope that our residents of Annapolis County had a great holiday, and I wish them prosperity in the new year, and I'm looking forward to the next year ahead of this council.
Thank you so much. Councillor Hannan.
I'd just like to, the Habitation Area Advisory Committee has been meeting and starting to do some strategic work up and down Mills Mountain Road to the habitation on the Granville Road. And Albert and his staff have been absolutely unbelievably professional to work with. It's been quite an interesting experience.
Thank you so much. Councillor Sherritt.
I'm having upcoming events and I'm knowledgeable in my community. However, I'm still working with the Hospital Foundation in regards to the $1 million that they've committed to the new facility that's being built in front of Soldiers Memorial. So I do have a meeting this week in regards to that, and I do encourage, again, there's a website to donate, and it's linked right to the Soldiers Memorial Hospital website.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Councillor McNeil.
Nothing really report on that. I went there with the breakfast for the first of the month.
Yeah, I was there too.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Pratt. If I may, since this is my first council meeting, I'd like to thank everybody, the councillor, staff, warden, CEO, everyone who's made my transition into this new career much easier. I appreciate that. And further to my comments, I was saying to a couple of folks here before we started that it's easy when you start naming people, you always forget people. When I was talking about the local procurement, I thought, as I left the room, I said, I didn't mention the Armstrong's big farm, I didn't mention Hellier's big farm, and I'm sure I still left out people, so I'll get better at that, I hope. As far as what I've done in the month of January. I had the opportunity to attend the levee over at the Evergreen Theatre in Margarettsville, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And Brian Salzman, one of our local dairy farmers, had his 70th birthday at the community hall. That was well attended. Huge family, extended family. I got to meet folks from the community I haven't seen since we had a school reunion there. So, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and many of us were there, Marilyn's funeral. I'd known her for a number of years, and it was great to see as many faces there as there were. And it gave me a pause, as I have thought of it a couple of times since taking this on. I have really big shoes to fill. She was a tremendous counselor. So I guess that's about all.
Thank you very much. Most of what I would put in Councillor's roundtable remarks, I actually did include in my warden's report at Committee of the Whole, so I won't add to that beyond saying I am excited about the year that's ahead. We've got an opportunity to take so much of the planning that we've been doing and actually watch it manifest into projects. It's going to take a lot of work. I think the past couple of years has certainly tested our commitment and tested our endurance, and I think this year will do so as well. But I think we hold together and deal with everything as fairly as we possibly can, that we're going to see great things happen this year. This is going to be a good year for Annapolis County. All right. Let's go on to new business. The next item of new business is family matters, and I believe that we have a recommended action before the award.
I move that council approve a grant in the amount of $2,000 from Community Program Assistance Fund to Family Matters Annapolis County Family Resource Center in accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy.
Seconder for the motion. Seconded by Councillor McNeil. Councillor Hammond.
I have a question. Because I was not here, can I vote on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Councillor.
I have a comment on that.
Go ahead.
Municipal Council had wondered what happens to the crock pots. So the HR Director, Billy Joe Weir, did respond to that and said, in the past we have done programs like this where families got to keep any equipment that was purchased. However, we have storage to keep equipment here if that is what the council suggests. If they are okay with the families receiving the slow cookers, in the future we would not ask for funding for these again. We would tailor the program to the budget and supplies we have available.
Thank you.
So that response actually leaves council with a secondary decision that it has the ability to make. Would we want Family Matters to continue with their practice of administering this course and also providing the people who take the course with those crock pots at the end, or would you rather they hold them reserved for future programs? Councillor Gunn.
Thank you very much. So I had like a bit of a problem with this when I first read this. What's going to happen with all these? And how come we're spending so much money on this and that? And why are we even doing it? And then I consulted my other half, and she kind of explained to me, being in the know on how it works, and she kind of changed my tune on it. It's a good thing the families that they're putting through this program tend to be very low-income families, and chances are they don't have the money for a crack pot. So they get the crack pot and they get the food and the rest of it. And what we really get out of it is teaching them how to actually cook, economical meals, healthy meals. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's probably a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I'm glad we got the question clarified. But I don't want to go too deeply into how organizations are going to administer funds that we give them. They apply, they give us information, and then we leave it up to them. And I certainly wouldn't want this organization not to apply for funds which they know they're going to expend for a good reason, simply because we asked the question.
Thank you. When if people don't mind my throw in putting my own personal comments on this, when we have one of the platforms for our economic development strategy is to promote life skills in the area, the reacquisition of a lot of living skills that have really sort of dwindled as we've urbanized and accepted a lot of the modern conveniences that have really changed the face of what we do. This program is completely in line with that. We know for certain that one of the hardest things to do in a lasting fashion is to alter human behavior. Human behavior is the biggest trick that government ever has to deal with, because you can change behavior briefly, but to a person that lasts and will persist even generation after generation is very difficult. It seems to me that with this sort of a program, one of the biggest obstacles for someone to continue with the kind of healthy eating practice is the simple absence of equipment. And I think, and personally, I'm all in favor of providing families who are in need of some support with both the training and also some of the equipment to move toward the healthier lifestyle. So, it's been moved and seconded. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you so much. We will go on Volunteer Week Selection Committee.
Comment. There's a date error there.
Okay.
I think you're right that it's the 19th and Thursday is the 20th.
Right. Okay. Good.
I would like to sit on that committee.
I think that can be arranged. So we need three. So we need three individuals. The deputy warden. I know this is one of the tasks that you particularly enjoy. Do we have anyone else like to serve in the committee?
I would. I've never done it before.
Councillor Sheridan. That's good. Somebody else?
I just want to say I was on it last year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If there's room for me, I would like to do it again. But if someone has not done it and they would like to, I would gladly let them. It's a real treat.
It is, absolutely.
They're only asking for two.
Are we only asking for two?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. Yeah, that's correct. So we just need two. So Councillor McDonald. So we do have two. That's good with you?
That's fine.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you both offering to serve in that committee. That's terrific. Okay. Now on to reports and recommendations. Deputy Warden.
3-year agreement with Nova Scotia SPCA as rescue agent for abandoned and stray companion animals 2020 to 2023. In accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council authorize the Warden and Clerk to sign a 3-year agreement with the Nova Scotia SPCA for the period of April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2023 for the transfer and rehoming of abandoned and stray companion animals.
Seconded by Councillor Hemming. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Port George Regional Recreation Center grant. I move in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole that Municipal Council approve a grant in the amount of $2,400 from the 2019-20 budget to the Port George Regional Recreation Center in accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grant Policy, Community Halls and Centers Assistance Program to assist with costs associated with the repair and pave driveway and parking lot.
Seconded by Councillor McDonald. Discussion on the motion.
Last week, Council had questions on whether Port George Regional Recreation Center had received a grant this current fiscal year. No, they have not. The Lions got funding for the Jamboree, and the Port George Lighthouse got a grant, but the rec center did not.
All right. Further discussion, folks? All in favor? Oh, Councillor.
I would ask one question. So we do help them with paving. That's part of the permit. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Annapolis Valley Regional Center of Education. Lawrencetown Consolidated School Grant. Pursuant to the recommendation of Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council approve a grant in the amount of $1,500 from the 2019-20 budget to AVRCE Lawrencetown Consolidated School in accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy, Community Programs Assistance Fund to assist with the costs associated with a Bike at School program.
Seconded by Councillor Fowler. Discussion on the motion. I'd just like to say, I think the people at the Lawrencetown Consolidated School should really be commended for thinking of this particular project. And I wonder if I could ask their area councillor, who is our deputy warden, I would love to see some records of the results of this, because to me this is so smart. This is a very small investment that I think can have a disproportionate impact on the kids who attend in that area. It's important for social justice to give children who don't have the same opportunities to have that remedied. And I'd really love to see what happens with this, because I think this sort of targeted micro investment is a really useful tool for a municipality to consider in lots of contexts. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Advance from operating reserve to purchase new plotter. I move pursuant to the recommendation of Committee of the Whole that Municipal Council approve an advance from the operating reserve in an amount up to $15,600 to cover the cost to purchase a replacement plotter printer for the civic addressing coordinator.
Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Annapolis County Water Utility Cornwalls Park Water Transmission Main Upgrade. In accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council approve funding for the Cornwalls Park Water Transmission Main Upgrade as follows. $225,000 from the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund, $157,524.05 from the Gas Tax Reserve, $127,895 from Annapolis County Water Utility Reserve.
Seconded for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Sheridan.
Just a question regarding the water utility reserve. Is it possible to know what's left in that reserve before we take this up?
I think Holly is in her office right now. I can certainly ask her. Oh, and she heard her name being taken in vain. Here she comes.
Yeah.
Hi. We had a question from Councillor Sheridan. Councillor
Just
Sheridan.
the water utility reserve. How much is left in that before we take up 127 for the Cornwallis Park water transmission?
I believe Patty signed off on that requisition, so I know there's enough.
Okay.
Yeah, only 168,964.
And is that before this comes on?
That's after that.
After that comes out, there's still 168,000 in reserve? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Updated Delat's Cove Wilderness Trail brochure. I move in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole that Municipal Council have staff include the Southwest Nova Biosphere logo included when updating brochures.
Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Oh, Councillor Henry.
I'm not going to support this. I mean, the Southwest Nova, the work that they've done over the last few years has been absolutely remarkable. They're consistent. It's been a tough go, so I'm proud to have that logo.
Terrific. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Response to Hubble December the 10th, 2019 email, see attached. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council authorize the warden to send a response to the December 10th, 2019 Hubble email.
Second for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Annapolis County Ground Search and Rescue, I move pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole that Municipal Council provide up to $5,000 to Annapolis County Ground Search and Rescue on an as-needed basis as determined by the CAO to be funded from the Recreation and Cultural Reserve and to be used for support of expenses during searches.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go on now to correspondence, which is on page 52. 50, no? 58, thank you. There we are. So our first piece of correspondence is with reference to Mr. Bartos continuing to serve on the board of the Western Regional Housing Authority, and that appointment has been confirmed.
Yes, I'll receive for information.
Moved by the Deputy Warden and seconded by Councillor Fowler to receive for information. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Next, we have a belated invitation to the Middleton Branch New Year's Day levy. Moved by Councillor O'Donnell to receive information, seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. And next we have a letter of appreciation from the board of the Upper Clements and District Community Association, which are always very welcome. Councillor Gunn.
Receive for information.
Moved to receive for information by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion. Deputy Warden.
I just think it's nice that they took the time to inform us on what they have done with the money, and so much it has made a difference with that hall in the community.
Absolutely. Further discussion, folks?
Were they the ones that won the at the Parliament conference? Did they win the?
That's right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. And just to complete John's thought for anyone who might be watching on tape, so at the climate conference, people on the way in had donated 2 needs, and then we had a draw for all those community halls within the area of Annapolis County, and those accumulated funds were given as a gift to that community hall. All right. Next, we have the Annapolis Valley Exhibition. And this is a, I'm sorry, have I missed one? Cornwallis Park Community. Oh, I'm not there yet, okay. Oh, thank you. And this is a letter of appreciation as well from the Cornwallis Park Community Association. Thank you.
So we skipped the
We skipped the Annapolis Valley Exhibition.
It's not there?
64.
64.
Oh, I think the issue is they're in a different order in the agenda than they are actually in the package.
Okay.
That's why I was going to one and Karen's pointing you back to the other one. So in our package, I believe that the Cornwallis Park is first.
No.
No? It's not.
Annapolis Valley Exhibition.
Where's the exit? Oh, there it is. Okay. Previous page. Sorry, folks. Bit of a gong show here this morning. All right. And this is a letter of appreciation, which is good. Quick motion, received information. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks very much. And now, on to the, that's right, Cornwallis Park Community Association from January 14th. And this is a letter of appreciation as well.
Received for information.
Moved by the Deputy Warden and seconded by Councillor Gunn. Any discussion? Deputy Warden.
And the same thing. I mean, it's nice to know, and I appreciate that they take their time to just tell us what they're doing.
Yeah, to know what it actually did, what difference it actually made. I think that's lovely. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks so much. And finally, the Epilepsy Association of the Maritimes. So this is about the declaration of an Epilepsy Awareness Month. This is not currently on our list, I don't believe. The question is, would Council like to have our list of eligible proclamations amended to include this?
I would like to make a motion to...
So it's been moved by Councillor Fowler to amend our policy on proclamations to add the declaration of Epilepsy Awareness Month in March.
Purple ribbon.
Okay. So it's been moved and then seconded by Councillor Henne. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Gunn.
I got a purple ribbon on my cloth I got for each month.
Okay.
And then what pertinent ribbon is going to be on it for that month? There's a purple ribbon.
Terrific. All right. Thank you. All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have our 2 late editions. So start off with Hillside Drive. Sorry for the control paper. So what's council's intent? So this will
Refer that to the CAO and the UGA.
I'll refer to CAO.
moved by the Deputy Warden to have the matter referred to the CAO, seconded by Councillor McNeil. Discussion on the motion. Councillor McNeil.
Just one thing, I'd really like to see something come out of this soon. This has been ongoing for quite some time, so sooner rather than later.
I believe this is the first time it's ever appeared on one of our agendas, though. Just to make it clear.
On the agenda, you're right, yes, but it has been spoken of. John's been involved. There it is going. Steve's been involved, so it's been an ongoing thing.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. And finally, an item that was added to our in-camera, Highway 8. Deputy Warden, I believe you've got a suggested motion. Maybe I'm wrong. Carolyn has the suggested motion.
Right here. To recommend that, oh no, we're not recommending, because we're the deciding body, that the municipality participate in the province's paving project for Highway 8 for a cost up to $200,000 from the gas tax reserve.
Could we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor McNeil. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Deputy Warden.
Were we going to talk about it?
Yes.
Workshop.
It was just for information purposes. People were asked, I think at the last meeting it came up that how many workshops were planned. We were thinking of another, but we haven't scheduled those ones as of yet.
What I'd suggest is this way, councillors have an opportunity to review this list. When we come in, let's have it added to the formal agenda for our committee of the whole in February, with the intention of deciding which of these can be combined and actually putting a schedule together to get them done. Councillor
I just
Sheridan?
have a question, because I was with the understanding that we had asked for a workshop on financials in a financial workshop, and I don't see that.
Don't see that on the list? Yes, Councillor Morrison.
Yes, as chair of the audit committee, the audit committee did ask for that, and the last word I received from the clerk was that she was attempting to find the folks who put the information in the bulletin and let us know about that.
Okay.
And they were, I'm just trying to find it here. I did contact them in late November and then again in December. And the lady who was looking after that said, thanks for contacting me. Yes, we can come to your municipality. Can I get back to you at a later date next week or early January? So I have not heard from her yet about that.
Okay, thank you.
That's kind of separate from an in-house workshop. That's someone's coming to deliver that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So if there's nothing further, Councillor Fowler.
Yeah, our Bridgetown PAC, are we going to have that at council or committee of the whole?
Come to February committee of the whole.
There we are.
Committee of the whole.
Can it come to February committee of the whole?
Or does it need to go to council directly?
There's not enough time.
There's not enough time to meet the advertising requirements.
Okay. So do we have to hold a special meeting of council?
We'll have to call a special meeting.
Okay.
If you want to have it, you can't get any goals if you don't have 14 clear days. Then you would have to have a different date for it. If it coincides with council, then it coincides with council. If it doesn't, you have to have a special council session. I just need to know because I have to put the ads in the
But we're in Inglewood on the 20th, so you may want to.
So we perhaps should schedule a special meeting of council in the first week of February in that case? Or no, you need 2 full weeks, so we don't have sufficient time.
It's after the second week, after the second Tuesday. So maybe the Thursday following the committee of the whole, would that give enough time? What's that date?
Or could we add?
It can't be before February 14th. It can be on February the 14th if I get the ad in the paper this week.
Okay. All right. So that's as early as it can be.
The public hearing, are you talking about?
The public hearing.
On the 14th of February?
And that's a Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
I would say that you should probably pick that date. Or it's after Inglewood, unless you want it after Inglewood. You could have it 19th, 20th.
19th is a volunteer, and the 20th would be better. Unless we have it after lunch on the 19th.
Tax sale.
That's our tax sale day.
20th is council.
18th.
18th is council.
Could we have and of course it's council at Inglewood. So
What about the 14th? Would the 14th work?
The 17th possibly, or that's a holiday, isn't it? Is that all?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the 14th.
Valentine's Day.
Seriously, you better have cookies in
Out of
there.
time.
Oh, chocolate and lemon.
is there?
Me too.
We can do cookies.
We can do these. It feels a little, I feel a little badly to be organizing a public meeting for a Friday evening. That's my only concern, that it might have an impact on public attendance. Oh,
Valentine's Day though, right?
what's that?
Valentine's Day, not a good day.
Yes, and it's also Valentine's Day, so
Give it to another day.
Bert will be baking that day, so that's not a good day for him.
Good. Oh, yeah.
All right.
So the date you're setting is for what? To hear the recommendation or to hold the public hearing?
Public hearing.
Because you haven't, the recommendation hasn't come yet. Right? Yeah.
Recommendation from PAC.
Yes.
Yeah. But you also need to give notice of first reading on council's.
I just didn't know what the date being discussed was for, to receive the recommendation or to set the date?
To set the date for the public hearing.
Yeah.
So the 19th isn't a possibility.
The 19th
Is the 19th a possibility? I figure Wednesday and not Valentine's Day is probably better for public participation than Friday. Council Deputy Warden?
And that would be all right, except if it could be after lunch, because we have the volunteer choosings in the morning at 2
Right.
o'clock. So we could go from Bridgetown to here if it was after lunch.
Okay, have it scheduled for here for 1 o'clock.
I've never been to one of the volunteer.
Yeah, they're over by lunch.
Okay, yeah.
Does that work for folks?
What day?
So it's the 19th of February?
19th of February, 1 o'clock.
So should you have the whole motion here, Albert? Or that This should have the whole-
That council is giving notice of first reading to give notice that intend to adopt the amendments to the Bridgetown municipal plan or the Bridgetown land use bylaw to amend a portion of the Shell's property from residential to institutional.
It's the motion from PAC here.
And that's here in Chambers, right?
Only part of it, because PAC never set the public hearing date into it. So it's, that's half plus the other half of setting the public hearing date. But PAC, you're identifying it as notice of first reading, which PAC recommendation would do.
I'm just trying to get through.
Okay. We're all good, folks? In this case, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Almost let me down there. Moved by Councillor McNeil and seconded by Deputy Warden. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Was it?